Hey, welcome to Bible Quiz Game Day. It's the second day as we talk about the first quiz round robin portion of the 2023 Bible Quiz National Tournament. Thursday's action I was following online, but for those of you who are there, what are your takeaways?
Well, there's some questions about the top teams. I mentioned some of the general inexperience on some of those teams, and I was looking to see what was going to happen. And Revelation, Riven, they both came out and showed that they've got some firepower. Lots of 500, 600 scores, especially with Riven. Revelation was maybe like a 100-point average behind him, but really racking up the points with those teams. So they are still the teams to beat, but what I do know is that Thursday was a much easier round robin schedule than Friday, as we'll see, for all of these teams. So maybe racking up the points was just because they had an easy schedule, and we might see those averages go down on Friday.
Yeah, one takeaway that I came across with this day's quizzes so far is with Riven individually and just the incredible individual performances by a lot of their quizzers. I mean, it goes hand in hand with the number of points they were scoring, but a lot of the quizzers on that team were very high. I mean, some of them were averaging over 100 points per quiz for the entire day, which is pretty hard to do. I believe they had 9 quizzes today with a couple of buys mixed in, so to average over 100 points per quiz over the course of 9 quizzes is very impressive, even especially at nationals. So I think we'll see if tomorrow, if that continues with that team, with their individuals. Some of them, specifically Josiah, Solomon, and Elijah, they seem to be right up there and around 100 points per quiz. So see if they're able to carry that over into the day 2 of the round robin.
My biggest highlight was, I think come Saturday, the biggest thing for teams to watch out for, patience will win you a quiz. Patience will win all the quizzes that matter on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think pretty much all the top teams, except maybe Ribbon, are struggling hardcore with timing errors this year.
Yeah.
And especially with all these, it's wonderful that we've seen so many new faces quiz mastering this year. I think that's really cool that we have a lot of really solid quiz masters filtering in, but just like so many of these kids just are not used to some of the new faces that we're seeing, and I saw a lot of teams struggling with that.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of different styles of quizmasters this year, I feel like. Jack Hager retired this year from quiz mastering, greatly missed. He was one of my favorites, a lot of people's, and so people are coming in and filling those positions, and you just have, not only are you seeing the new faces, but as you go from quiz to quiz, you got one quizmaster who's quizmastering this way and another, and can you adjust to that? So that's where the patience comes in.
Yeah, it's especially difficult if you go from one quizmaster who reads really, really fast and may give you a little bit of an extra syllable or word in the quiz, and go to another quiz where the quizmaster maybe reads a little bit slower and stops very abruptly. It's very challenging to adjust for some of the teams, some of the individual quizzers.
I noticed that Prevail seemed to be the best of the Family Life teams. We were debating that. Noble was also doing well, but Prevail put up some pretty big scores, so I imagine they're going to be a team to watch out for. And you guys had mentioned Overshadowed, and they seem like they performed pretty well. I was following some of their quizzes, and they put up some good scores. So those are some teams that I thought kind of stood out. I think Supernova did pretty well, and it was fun to kind of see where everybody was. So as we look ahead to Friday, what kind of quizzes are you looking at?
Well, honestly, we can't get all of the really good quizzes in probably because there's so many good ones on Friday. Maybe a little different than Thursday where it was easier for some teams, but especially when you start naming some of those, Noble, Prevail, Astonished was standing out, Warriors was doing well, Supernova was very, very sharp. And you mix those names in, there's just so many good quizzes. A lot of the top teams are finally quizzing each other. Moxie is going to have a chance to take down Riven, and Unshadowed is going to have a chance to take down Revelation tomorrow. So those are going to be some fun ones to watch. If I was going to pick one favorite quiz to watch, I would say Site 11 near the end of the day. You're going to get to watch Prevail, Supernova, and Unshadowed. I think that's going to be one of the best quizzes of the day. Not talking about Revelation or Riven or a couple of the top teams that you might expect, but all of those teams were so sharp.
Yeah, Austin avoided some of the top teams, but I personally will not avoid some of the top teams, and I think a top quiz to look at for tomorrow is the 4th time slot there at 10:45, Site 1. Maybe a precursor or foreshadowing of what we might see on Saturday's type quiz. We have Revelation, Prevail, the top team from Family Life, it appears, and Riven from Summit. And those 3 teams going at it together. I'm not sure who the quizmaster will be at that particular moment, but I know Jim Chicksey is scheduled to be in Site 1, whether he'll be quizmastering that site or if the person who alternates with him will be quizmastering that site. It'll be interesting to see who goes ahead and takes on that role of quizmaster in that particular quiz. It really could be up in the air as far as what happens in that quiz. It could be one of Riven's first real tough tests.
One of Revelation's first real tests too.
Yeah, for all 3 teams, really.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in that quiz, but we're really looking forward to seeing how teams prevail and for the revelation of that quiz to be made known without it being Riven apart.
All right.
There we go.
And who will prevail?
I would like to talk about round 4 down in Site 11. We have Moxie seeing the Elders seeing Riven. The Elders, my own team, will it's gonna be a good quiz for us. But yeah, I'm really interested to see who the quizmaster is. Like we've been saying the whole time, that really makes a big difference depending on the team, depending on what they're used to. And I'm excited for this one. I'm excited to see how these 2 teams are able to deal with the competition, with it essentially just being a one-on-one. How unique it is that that in quizzing that we have 3 teams competing against each other at a time. A lot of the time, as a higher up team, you end up kind of relying on a 3rd team to be sometimes like taking the majority of the jumps on errors and kind of just quizzing against the other team that you're truly competing against for, sometimes even just like 40% of the quiz. I think when you see 2 teams against a team that's not so good and isn't going to be taking most jumps, that you truly see the skill and ability to adjust. And so I think that's going to be interesting to watch because it's going to be a lot more brutal for both teams.
I mean, don't sell yourself short, because one of the other good teams that we haven't mentioned yet, CV Squared, got into air trouble, and you guys beat them today, I noticed. And so I think it's safe to say if you take the patience strategy like you were mentioning, maybe you could hope for like a 40, -10, -80 type score, and there you go, right? Anything can happen. Speaking of one more quiz with a couple teams we haven't mentioned a lot, I mentioned CV Squared. They are looking strong. They lost that one quiz, but they won a lot of others. In Site 5 at 1:15, CV Squared, Moxie, and Clay will be going up against each other. That's a very even matchup, I think. Clay has been doing well. They did well at the Northern Regional Tournament. I haven't seen a lot of them, but I know they can definitely put up a score, so that'll be a good one to watch as well.
And I think you guys briefly mentioned it, but I mean, for people here on the East Coast, like I am, just making sure at 10 o'clock that I'm tuning in to see Moxie, Unshadowed, and Noble in Site 2, which is at 9 o'clock there. Because I think that'll be a good quiz and good way to kind of measure up where those guys are in terms of hanging around in that 4 through 5, 6 through 7 area, and then getting a shot towards making the stage. All right. Well, how about some individuals, guys? Tell me some individuals we should be looking at if we're looking at the box score, so to speak.
So we were talking about Supernova a second ago as a really sharp team that we didn't talk about much yesterday. The 2 quizzers leading them up is AJ and Drake. Thank you. And I've watched a few of their quizzes, and man, they look sharp. The whole team has a lot of depth, and when they're not on top of it, somebody else is filling in behind them. But I've seen a lot of 80s quiz outs, 60-point scores from them, and I look at either of them as top 14 candidates.
Yeah, I mean, I really think Drake has a chance. I mean, I have him on my fantasy team for a reason, after all. So hopefully that all pans out at the end on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Nate obviously mentioned the prices. So any other names standing out to you guys?
I've got two more quick ones, and then maybe Cole and Nate, you can take your shots. Aaron Vork and Caleb Doran. Sorry, he's on your team, but I've just been so impressed with Caleb that I had to say it. Really just leading revelation, and every time I've popped into one of their quizzes, he's either their top scorer or has already quizzed out. And Aaron Vork has all the material unshadowed and has been looking really sharp. And he was kind of a wild card because he didn't have a lot of nationals experience, but he's proving he doesn't need it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Caleb there. He's on my fantasy team as well, so hopefully he continues that success for the fantasy team as well as for Revelation. So yeah, I definitely think Caleb has been doing very well, and he hasn't had a whole lot of nationals experience either. I think it's his second or third year going to nationals, so he's really improved over the last couple of years, and it's been really amazing seeing him grow in that area. Another name to mention from our group here, Joel from Revelation as well. He's been very solid today. Him and Caleb have been pretty much 1A, 1B as far as their scoring on Revelation so far in this tournament. I don't know the exact numbers, but they're somewhere up in the 70s or 60 points per quiz average area. So look for great things for them tomorrow and also on Saturday.
Yeah, I guess getting away from the trend of talking about our own quizzers from our own ministry a little bit, a quizzer that I have been really impressed with the last couple of years that I haven't had a chance to look at how he's been doing specifically today, but Luke Sortor from Prevail, from Family Life, just super excellent quizzer. Just he's patient. He has an amazing jump. He is such a strong leader on that team, and he has it's so hard for those teams out east sometimes, I think, to even like have the depth to compete with some of the teams from like Summit or Minnesota, Wisconsin, but like he is
really solid.
Yeah, I think part of it too is that it's just the exposure that the New York teams, we don't see them at a lot of our tournaments here in the Midwest, so we don't always know until nationals who's even going to nationals from their group, and so it is sort of an unknown sometimes, and it's good to really have some more name recognition. And you mentioned him, and I think there are some others that are up and coming. Every year there's someone that we aren't familiar with that does really well at nationals, and it just makes us want to be more diligent in our analysis going forward, that we really need to be more invested and knowledgeable of some of these other ministries, even if we don't see them.
Say I'm going to wrap up real quick because it's kind of laid out here, but I just wanted to say real quick, great comments about New York. I note that Noble did actually beat Prevail. Prevail run into a bunch of air trouble with Chad Peterson at the very end of the day, but Prevail had put up higher scores all day. So again, those teams are pretty even. I saw Grant Freiberger put up a bunch of points for Prevail all day, so that might be a name to watch out for. And you guys, I know, are going to talk about bold predictions. And so I don't know, okay, I'm going to try a couple different things. One, my bold prediction is that quiz where you're going to see Riven Revelation and Prevail will be a championship preview. There's my bold prediction for you. I guess that's where I'm going to go. I don't know who's going to win okay, Riven's going to win the championship isn't a bold prediction, so I guess that doesn't count. But that would be a good quiz. It would be great to see three ministries represented up on the stage. So I'll let you guys continue.
Quincy was just giving us one of his bold predictions, or two, I suppose. My bold prediction, kind of coming off of quizzers who are there to watch, who are really scoring a lot of points. I would be absolutely shocked if Syrian from Astonished is not in the top 20. I would be shocked if he's not in the 14. I might be shocked if he's not in the top 7. So I'm going to say bold prediction. Maybe it's not that bold because he is really good. He's heading up a really good, top 10, maybe top 5 team. Somebody who could end up on stage. I'm going to say he's a shoe-in for the top 7. And Surian, if you don't make the top 7, my bad. Hopefully I didn't jinx it for you. But that's my bold prediction.
All right, well, my bold prediction, I don't know how bold it is because I haven't really been following how well he's been doing today in particular, but he is my Major League quizzing coach for a reason, Josiah Pope. I was made aware recently that he memorized all of the material this year, all of the Book of Acts, which is incredible, over 1,000 verses. And when I look back and think of it, he wasn't drafted in my fantasy league, and now I'm really regretting that decision. I feel like he's going to do really well on his team, Apocalypse. Even though my team won't quiz them at all in the round robin, perhaps we'll see them on Saturday. I really look forward to seeing how he does, and I think he has a really good shot at making that top 14 as well. So that's my bold prediction.
With making to go along with the theme of quizzers to watch that you might not expect to see up there, top 14, top 7. We have this rule at nationals every year that I think is a good rule, that your team needs to be in the top third to for an individual quizzer on your team to be in the top 7. And a team I've been watching that I've been really impressed with this year is Dead BC.
Yep.
And their one of their quizzers on their team, Carter Castman. I'm not sure how he's been doing all day, but when I saw him, he looked really strong. He's been really strong this season. When they were on stage at Northern Regionals, he was definitely leading that team. He was he had that edge, and he continues to this national tournament. And I don't know if he'll quite make it up there, but I'm going to predict that WC makes it in the top 3rd.
A lot of people to watch this tournament. There's so many quizzers we can't mention just because we've got a limited amount of time. But just to wrap up this is going to be my last show. And so let's go off of what Quincy was saying, and each of us can give a quick top 3 stage prediction. And we can't do the same one as Quincy, so get creative, even though that's maybe an easy one. I am going to predict that stage is, I can't say that Riven won't make it, so I'm going to say Riven's up there. And I love Revelation, but there's so many good teams to mention, and I know you're going to put them in there, so I'm going to say Unshadowed is going to beat our top team to make it on stage, and Riven will make it up there, and Astonished.
Wow, that almost qualifies as a bold prediction.
I would not be astonished if that happened.
Wow, that's pretty good. My top 3 for the tournament, I would probably get in a lot of trouble if I didn't say Revelation would make the championship, because I don't know, I'm the coach for Revelation. So I'm going to go Revelation championship. That's our hope. Happy to be there. Riven, I think, will make it. They haven't lost a quiz in 17 years or something like that, it seems like. And then the third team is really up in the air for me, but I'm going to go old school here and go with, oh man, this is real tough. I mean, you picked a good one with Astonish being in there. I'm going to go with CV squared making a gigantic leap, and maybe not so much of a stretch, but I'm gonna see them up there. I mean, I think they're a very balanced team. Haven't seen them yet this tournament personally, but I know that they're up there as far as their ability. So let's go with that.
All right, I'm gonna go with Riven. Obvious choice, but I just feel like it would be a crime if I did not pick the obviously best team at this tournament to make the championship. And I'm gonna go with Unshadowed from Minnesota, Wisconsin Teens for Christ. They've been super strong this year, sometimes showing up Revelation every now and then. And I'm gonna predict that they're gonna do that and make the stage instead of Revelation, and I'm gonna predict that the third team is gonna be Agape. They've been kind of all over the place this season, but if they get in the right quiz, they have a great. Midland has always been really good at strategy,
Yes.
and that Saturday strategy is what they specialize in particularly. And I think that we're going to see good things from them.
Midland's extremely controlled. If we did not mention your team, surprise us. Let's have a
And comment on our post and say stuff. Nice things.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight. Everybody go quiz tomorrow and Saturday. Get some good rest tonight and enjoy the rest of Nationals.
2023 in St. Louis. How?
One-liner too.
You can.
You can still use your catchy one-liner.
Anything can happen at Bible Quiz Fellowship Nationals.
I won't use your catchy one-liner.
Oh. I thought that was catchy.